These ideas will change your life if you can just allow them into your heart, if you can accept them into your consciousness. Okay, so stay open-minded, especially if you're new to manifestation, because we're gonna dive deep into this today. So I'm going to begin with a quote by Neville Goddard, who's like the god of manifestation, right? He says the consciousness is the cause of phenomena of life. Okay, so phenomena as plural of phenomenon, which means everything that we experience, everything that we can see and notice in our reality. So essentially what he's saying is this: the state of consciousness that you're embodying in your life creates the reality that you're living in right now. So everything that you experience, everything that you can feel and notice and see in your life right now, literally everything is created by your state of consciousness. So if the state of consciousness is the cause of our life, then you can see how important it is for us to talk about it today. So before we dive deeper into that, I want to backtrack a little bit and go back to the beginning. I want to give this bit of context and begin with this first. What I want you to understand is that there is a creator of all things that created us, that created everything in the universe, okay? Bear with me because I'm not about to get religious, okay? You can give this power any name that you'd like. We can define it as God, the universe, higher power, the source, whatever you want to call it. We're absolutely okay with that. And if this feels a little bit too spiritual, too woo-woo for you, you can just call it something, a force that's greater than you, something greater than you. That's perfectly okay too. And this power that's unlimited is pure consciousness, is pure awareness. Right? It's pure potentiality because it created everything that we see, has also created you. So this beautiful event has occurred, which is the divine creation of you. Okay, you are a divine creation. And what happened then is, and this is the most amazing part that I really want you to hear, is that when you were created, you are also given the same creative power of the source. So in a way, you are also pure potentiality, limitless possibility. You have this amazing creative power within you that is infinite. You are also pure consciousness. You're also pure awareness. So we are this amazing mix of our spiritual essence, our godlike essence, our divine energy, and also our humanity. We all came from this source energy, and we are all an extension of this incredible power. And so we are all the same, right? Not only we are all the same at our core, we are wholesome, we are beautiful, we are amazing, we are limitless, we are so powerful. Not only we are that, but we are all interconnected because we all came from this same creative power. Yeah, so we're same as the plant that you see. We are same as each other. We are so beautifully interconnected. And we have, as I said, unlimited power to create any reality that we want. Because if we came from the same power that's created the whole universe, and we have the same power, we absolutely can create anything that we want for ourselves in this life. So you then might be asking, well, why do we not have that? Why isn't everyone in the world, a happy camper has everything that they want? Why is not everybody equally abundant and equally happy and fulfilled, etc., etc.? And that is a very valid question. And that is because of our different states of consciousness that we are currently embodying when we arrive in this life. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard of this expression before, where we are a spiritual being having a human experience. So we are this unlimited power, wholesomeness and pure awareness that come on earth. And when we land here, we are given a physical body. So from the moment that we are born, the ego starts to come in. And we then start, and I don't mean ego in, egotistic, in a derogatory or, negative way, but just ego, our human sense, right? Our human side of us start to come in, and we start to interpret the world through our five senses. We started to interpret everything that we see, we hear, we sense in life through our human-like five senses and our human intellect. So we started to create narratives in our mind about life experiences, which then in turn also influences, ideas about who we are. We started to form narratives and stories then about who we are, essentially. Okay. And so again, Neville Goddard talks about how our state of consciousness is formed by reactions to life events. And also, as we said, our state of consciousness is what creates our reality, right? But the state of consciousness is formed by our reactions to life events, okay, from day one. So I'm going to give you a very practical example of this to make it clear. So I had a really difficult childhood, and from the very beginning, even before I was 1 year old, my mom left me, like abandoned me. She was there one day and she was gone next day, and you can understand how traumatic that is for a little baby. And on top of that, I had a father that was struggling with his own demons. He was struggling with alcoholism, and he was never there. So I was severely neglected. So it was a difficult start to my life. And I remember very clearly being alone all day long, even at the age of 5 years old, 6 years old. I remember feeling extremely lonely and in emotional pain, very upset. But I couldn't make sense of what was happening. I was very neglected. And so that was the event, right? The abandonment and the alcoholism, the neglect. That was the event in my life that I started to interpret it then, right? And my reaction to that event was that I then started to create this level of consciousness. I started to believe that I wasn't good enough, right? Because if these caregivers that meant to love me are not loving me, and I see other friends having their loving mom, loving dad, and I don't have that, right? In my childlike mind, I made this sense by believing that, well, it must be my fault then. And as children, that's what we do. When we are faced with events that we cannot explain, that are extremely painful, we don't have the emotional capability to process it, or even cognitive abilities to make sense of. So the only thing that we do, then we go inside, we internalize it, and we believe that it's our fault. And that's exactly what I did. So I believe the narrative, right, that I told myself about this, the story was that this must be my fault. I must be faulty. I must be not lovable if they don't want to be with me. There must be something wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. So my reaction to this event was believing that it was my fault, that I wasn't good enough. And that formed my state of consciousness from a very, very young age. So I became then a teenager and also a young woman that carried this state of consciousness, that told me that I just wasn't worthy. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, okay? And this can be applied to so many other things, right? It's what we make sense of reality, what we make sense of how we make sense of the world, and the narratives and the stories that we create as a reaction to life events, and then we apply that story to ourselves. We use that to define who we are. But this could not be further from the truth, guys, because as I said earlier, we are pure love, pure wholesomeness, pure potentiality. We are absolutely amazing. We are shining light within, right? So that's when then you start to feel pain. If any of you ever felt like you're not good enough or not worthy, that emotional pain, it's because you're not being aligned. You're not aligned with your true self. You have been removing yourself, and not a fault of your own, because of the life events. You started to get removed from your own light. And when you're disconnected to that light, that can feel extremely painful. That can feel lonely, okay? So that's just an example of the reactions or the stories that we create about who we are. And they then become very limiting. They become so limiting, because what kind of life would that with that kind of state of consciousness create? Right? Could it create a life that is fulfilling, that is rich, that is wholesome, that is amazing? No, because I never believed that about myself. Right? And this is the thing, guys, you can never go beyond the ideas and the stories that your level of consciousness tells you. You can literally perceive anything more than what your consciousness is telling you. Okay? You are not conscious of them. Literally, you cannot conceive those ideas. And the thing about it is that a lot of this stuff is happening on a subconscious level. So when I came into my healing journey, and I'm so grateful that I have been part of this extraordinary journey back to myself, I realized that I carried all these beliefs about myself that I wasn't even aware that they were there. It was happening all on a subconscious level. And there were so many. And when I did the healing journey and I could see, really, I was faced with, the voices and the stories of my state of consciousness, I was blown away. And it was really sad to see how much I had been disconnected from my true self. Any of you ever felt like that? Any of you ever felt like not worthy, not good enough, and felt really alone, felt like you didn't belong? Yes, you didn't belong because that's not who you're meant to be. Of course, you're gonna feel like you don't belong because that is not who you are. Our work here then to manifest the life that we want, I believe it's not about becoming someone that you are not. I believe that it's about reconnecting to that part of you that is your true self, the truth of you. Remembering who you are is the journey. I do believe it's the journey back to who you are, back home. Okay. Neville Goddard talks about this part of you, this pure essence of you as I am. I am because I am all there is. There's no labels attached to it. There's no stories attached to it. It's all powerful. It's all pure awareness, as opposed to your states of consciousness, which, in contrary, is full of labels, full of self-limiting labels, full of reaction-based ideas that are not really aligning with who you are. And that is why you're not able to make progress and advance in your life in a meaningful way that makes you feel good, right? Because of this misalignment, because you forgot who you really are. So if you can really believe this, because I choose to believe this, my journey has certainly shown that that is the truth. Before I came to manifestation, I was in therapy for a very long time because I have lived through lots of traumas. And even looking back at that journey, even before manifestation, I realized that I had always been just trying to get back to the essence of who I am, which is owning my own goodness and owning my power. And that is what I want for you. And that is my job as a mentor, to help you reconnect with that. It's like that light is within you, but it's buried under years of conditioning, under years of your reactions to life experiences, under years of stories that you told yourself, right? They're buried. And I'm sure if you feel like you're in darkness, it's because that light has been dimmed so much. It's been covered up. So your work on this journey is to find that light again and allow that to shine so brightly that is going to impact the world, impact your life. It's just such a wonderful journey, and I really want you to come along on this journey with me. And I truly believe that we are meant to live an extraordinary life. I 100% believe that I am living an extraordinary story, extraordinary life. I don't believe that we're meant to live an ordinary life. I don't believe that we are meant to just wake up, go to work 9 to 5, feel exhausted, come home, maybe do chores, maybe do some extra work, put our kids to bed, and then crawl into bed exhausted. And all we do then is like scroll for a little bit, watch Netflix for bed, go to sleep, and then wake up the next morning and do it all over again. If you ever felt that you're worthy of more, if you ever wondered, I feel like there's just something more to life than this, is this all that's meant to be? I believe that's your I am, that's your essence screaming at you, saying, I'm here, I just need you to see me, I need you to own me. So how does your level of consciousness then manifest your reality? Because your state of consciousness emits certain vibrations, and we know that the law of vibration says that you have to be a vibrational match for the reality that you desire. So in order for you to attract that desire, you have to change your state of consciousness to match that vibration, right? That frequency. And so this is the most empowering thing about this whole discussion, that the state of consciousness that you find yourself in, that you are currently embodying, is not your truth. It's just your perceptions. It's just the ideas that you formed, as we said. And it can absolutely be changed. If you want to change your life, you have to simply raise your state of consciousness. You don't have to be stuck in that space. Let me give you the example. What is the difference between yourself and somebody else that, let's say that you want to make 2 million a year. And let's say there's another person that has your same intellect, same level of intellect, same capabilities in terms of what your body can do, same circumstances. But that person is making 2 million a year and you are only making, let's say, 20,000 a year. What is the difference? The only difference literally is the level of consciousness that you're embodying. So this person would believe that he can absolutely make 2 millions. Maybe this person grew up around money, grew up around abundance, grew up around collective consciousness, because we have an individual consciousness that's unique to us, but then our individual consciousness forms a collective consciousness. So maybe he grew up in an area where everybody was rich and affluent. Maybe he grew up with family that was extremely wealthy, for whom being rich and making money was always normal. It was the norm. And this person would have such a state of consciousness that tells them that this is the norm, this is given, okay, and does not think twice. You, on the other hand, you could have been born into poverty. You could have always struggled with your bills and never had any quality of life, which has caused you to adopt a level of consciousness that believes that that is all is possible for you. And that is the only difference. So the only thing that you have to do then is change your level of consciousness. I want to give you another example, going back to what I shared about myself earlier. I find it so extraordinary how that unfolds, that process of your state of consciousness manifesting the life that you're currently in. I find that so fascinating because, again, I've experienced it in my life. So if we go back to my example of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, not feeling acceptable or lovable, because I was a woman that carried that state of consciousness, it affected, for example, just going to give you an example of one area of my life, which is my relationships. So in fact, it created relationships that were not fulfilling. Actually, they were quite painful because I believed that I wasn't worthy and I carried that consciousness. It meant that I did not allow other people to get close to me because I was afraid that I was sure that I will get rejected. If they really truly saw me for who I was, they will run because I believed that I wasn't lovable. So I never allowed myself to get too close to them. My relationships would last 3 to 6 months, and then I would run before things got real. And then I was sitting there wondering, why are relationships not working out for me? Why do I get bored of people? I wasn't getting bored. I was getting afraid and I was running because of my level of consciousness. And another way would be that I could never form very meaningful connections because, again, I couldn't allow myself to get vulnerable with people. I always put up this front of misperfection or something like that, something that wasn't really truly me, the authentic me, because I was too afraid to show myself and to be vulnerable. That meant then that I could never form deep connections. I could never be loved and feel loved because the very essence of being loved requires me being seen for who I am, who truly am. So I wasn't allowing that to happen. So I was sitting there in my 20s wondering why am I not feeling loved? Why are my relationships not working? Why, these meaningful relationships never come into my life? I'm feeling so more lonely. So I was manifesting more loneliness, more disconnection. You see what's happening here? So I was going out with this level of consciousness that was manifesting into my reality, into my 3D world, more of what I didn't want. And that was giving the feedback to my state of consciousness that, you see, we are right. We were 100% right. We are not lovable. Things never work out for me. Relationship never, nobody loves me. I'm always rejected. Yeah, so that's called feedback loop with the reality. That is how the manifestations work. And it is a very painful place to be in because we don't understand what's happening. We don't understand where this is coming from. These self-concepts, this idea of ourselves are so damaging. They are constantly dimming our light. They are happening at a very deep subconscious level. So what's this like for you guys to hear that, number one, you are so amazing and powerful within, but you just lost sight of that? And what does it feel like? Good? I hope so, because it's true. There's such a worthiness within you that I would love to see you embody, and I would love to see you own it, right, for yourself. And when you can do that, your life, as I said, will change in ways that just going to feel like a miracle for you. And once you realize the potentiality within you and the beautiful power within you, what then needs to happen, what we need to get you to do is to start being aware of your state of consciousness and just remove all the blocks, remove all the layers that have been dimming your light. And that's where the work is. And once you're able to get these two elements in place, it is just going to be amazing, guys. You are going to soar. You are finally come home to yourself and be the version of you that you always wanted to be. So I'm going to leave you with one small exercise. I hope that was useful for you. And I'm going to leave you with a small exercise to bring you along on this journey with me to get you started. So, as I said, your state of consciousness are reactions, ideas and narratives that you bought into, that you adopted for yourself as the truth as a result of experiences in your life, right? So, what you could do to get started with getting clear on your state of consciousness: pen and paper, sit down, create a little bit of space for yourself. And I want you to look back at your life up to now from as early memory as possible, and think about all the main events that have occurred in your life and list them all and leave spaces in between. So, for example, it could be your parents getting divorced, or it could be you had a really horrific accident that left you scarred, or it could be you lost somebody suddenly. So here I'm talking about sort of the big events, like big traumas, right? Because and always negative events, because they would have impacted your state of consciousness negatively in some ways. We can talk about the big traumas with big T, like, losing your parent, horrific accident or anything like that. But I would also want you to think about the small T's, the small traumas, right? So what the small traumas are, not drastic events, but small events that over time would have had a huge impact on you. So for example, having a parent that is mentally unwell, like dealing with depression, it might not look like a huge trauma to you, but it's considered a small T, small trauma, but still a trauma, because it would have a compounding effect on your sense of self, on your state of consciousness, okay? Or like a parent that always criticized you, a parent that would have always humiliated you, or that you would have never felt seen and understood by this parent, like that would also count as a big event, as a small T trauma, okay? So just think about all these big events, all the things that maybe went wrong, all the big events that were really difficult for you in your life, list them all. And then think about what was your reaction to each of those. So how have they impacted the definition, your self-concept, the definitions that you gave to yourself? What did you make them mean about you, right? So with the divorce, did you make it mean, maybe you're really young, maybe you're 7, 8 years old, did you make it mean about you that it was your fault? Maybe your parents divorced and that was somehow because of you. Or the situation of the small T, where your parents were constantly, one parent was constantly criticizing you, you never felt accepted in who you are. What was the reaction to that? Did you make it about you again? What story did you tell yourself? Did you believe that was happening because you weren't good enough? Does that make sense? And so be with that, guys. Do that exercise and trying to extract the definitions that you gave specifically to you as a result of those experiences. And then you will have much clearer picture, I would say first level picture of what are some of self-concepts and ideas within your state of consciousness that you have formed that are skewing that light within you, right? That are standing between you and you owning that power and using that to create the life that you want. I'd love to hear what's come up for you in that exercise. And also it can be so powerful, but it can also be painful, guys. So I want you, and this is my therapist hat coming in, to be very gentle with you, to be so compassionate towards you. I'm having a wave of feelings come up within me of, I don't know, I feel like tears are about to come up, even though I don't look like I want to cry, but just this wave of emotions of, I think, pure compassion for you, because I've been there. If you're somebody that's gone through a lot of pain and a lot of sort of self-concepts that are not fitting with your true self, I want you to be so compassionate towards you, towards your humanness, because it's just you, your human part, that's just been trying to do the best that she could or he could up till now. But you have the power to change that. You have the power to change the story from here on. So I hope you liked this content. I didn't mean to speak for this long. I wanted to keep this video up to 15 minutes, but that's absolutely okay. And my soul needed to share. But if you like this content, please like and follow, because it will help reach more people that might need to hear this message today. So thank you so much, and let me know in the comment what's come up for you if you've done the exercise, and also what you'd like me to explain maybe further, or what you would like me to talk about more. So till next week, I'll see you soon. Bye.